Hey, welcome to Elevating Your Voice with Chris and Marco. We're here today with a super special guest, Jenn Jenkins. You all know her. She's a realtor at Broker Subs Realty. She's a founding member of Broker Subs Realty. She's an author. She's an owner of a spin top company. She's a mom of two. She's a wife. I don't know. She's a super cool human with a nice life resume. So here we are. She's going to dazzle us with a lot of knowledge and experience and all kinds of fun things for the next hour. Go ahead, Marco. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Jen. How's it going?
So good. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. Well, I'm very excited to talk with you or have you talk on Elevate Your Voice because when we sent over a questionnaire, right? And to guide us with the questions. And I'm like, wow, this lady is just full of knowledge, full of great, like awesome nuggets. Before we get into all those great things, can you just start from the beginning? Like, just give us a brief history on where you started and how you developed your business throughout the years and how maybe even you know changed your business model.
Maybe start at birth so we understand, everything.
Let's see. I'm a child of the 80s. I mean, that should probably explain a lot right there. So that's
Hey,
great.
yeah, awesome.
Let's see. So I guess if we start back somewhat at the beginning, I won't go all the way back. I've always been in a family that has been very service based. My dad was a automotive chemical salesman, and my mom used to do a lot of charity work with our church. So I grew up in a very like service based household. Um, which made me like realize, it was really came down to how you treat people, and it's like a feeling, right? Like there's always this feeling. I always told myself, like, whenever I leave a room, I want to make sure I sprinkled a little joy in that room before I left. So that's always been like my motto and
Yeah.
how I want to run things. And honestly, I got into real estate out of a really kind of scary time in our life, to be honest. We had just lost a home decor business that my mother and I used to run. And my husband and I had just had our first child, Quincy, who came very early. He came at 32 and a half weeks. So that was a little bit of a surprise for us. And, the world was crashing. '08 had just happened.
Mm.
Just a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I was like, how about I get into real estate? This sounds great.
Right, right. That's not risky.
Not risky at all. I can do this. And just kind of like jumped in and soon realized that, I couldn't hang with the big boys who were like, you know, advertising like crazy at that time on billboards and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, what can I do? And it always just came back to like, how can I create an amazing experience for my clients so that my name is the name that always comes up whenever they are around somebody. And so I just worked really hard on making that the foundation of my business, really. So I've just been 100% referral, really, from day one.
Really? The
Yeah,
entire time.
entire time.
See, so back, I was that way before the first crash, before the crash 2007, 8, right? I was all referral based and my world kind of just collapsed because as I was making my normal little phone calls, for the referrals and things like that, Popeyes and staying in touch with people, I would call them up like, hey, Jim, it's Chris, the real estate guy. Hi. Oh, hi, Chris. Yeah, I don't have anything for you. The market's terrible right now. So how did you survive that with just being referral based? Because I got destroyed personally.
Well, so I got licensed after the crash, right? So I
Okay.
was 2010. So like I always joke, like I literally went on the MLS and there was 65,000
Mhm.
homes for sale.
Oh my
Know any
God.
different?
Yeah. See, so when I started there, and I think Nick at the same time, because we started in the same couple years, man, there was 33 or 35,000 always on the market. And remember, everybody, that was when we were just Maricopa, Pinell County, and some of the outlying counties. It wasn't pulling from up north. It wasn't pulling from Metro down south. And it was just basically the entire Phoenix Metro plus Pinell County. And that was the norm for us, right, Nick, for the first, I don't know, 5, 6 years. So I remember the 65,000 because the flip side of that, before the market crashed, it was like 1,200,
Right.
right? So it was insane, but you weren't in the market there. So go along with that 65,000 properties for sale, and you're jumping into the real estate market. Yay, Jim.
I know. And I just remember I was like, is that a lot? I literally asked the guy next to me. I was like, is that a lot of homes to have on the market? And I just remember he looked at me And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, here we are. So I don't know. I just honestly, I would say it was kind of a blur, to be honest, when I first started, because I'm sole income provider for our household. So hubby
Mm.
stayed home with our kids. So I always joke with Nick at one time, I was like an ostrich. Like I put my head down, buried it, didn't listen to the world out there, and I like just got to work. And I just would meet with people. I'm not a big fan of phone calls. It's just not my
Yeah.
jam. I would just go meet with people. I joined a networking group, learned how to try to speak in front of people, and just soon realized like even my very best referral person, like to this date, the guy who gives me the most referrals has never bought and sold a home with me.
Wow.
I know, but I got really good, I feel, on explaining like what it is I will provide your people. And I think he could see how I said what I was going to do. And that just translated to then she's probably going to be good at her job. And he has like
So,
full faith in me. So
so what does this person do?
he is
Yeah.
actually now retired. He actually lived in New York for a while, moved out here. He was in investment banking for Chase.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what you've talked about in your write-up was that it looks like you found what you're naturally good at and you're using that to drive your business, right? Now, for some people it might seem like, well, I don't know what I'm good at, right? It's like I don't know what's my natural talent. What advice would you have for those agents that like I really want to run my business on referral and I need to find that talent that I'm really good at? What advice could you give them? How did you find your natural talent?
I think for me, I would give the advice, and I don't know who told me this at one point, but they said like go to the people that you can have a very honest conversation with and ask them what it is about you that like is magnetic to them. So like what it is. Go find your like closest 5 people and just ask them, what is it that you see that I do really well? What is that? When you take Chris, like I said, he's like a super connector to in my opinion. I don't know if that's what he thinks, that's what I see. He'd
Well,
ask
thank
these
you.
questions on Facebook and people would be answering, and that's a great way to connect. I have always said, Nick, I think Nick, people are drawn to him because like he will fight for you. Like he will always have your back. That's something that I notice with his clients, like to the death, he will go down for you. And so like to me, that's one of his superpowers, right? And his firm. Those 2 things right there, those are superpowers. But I think for me, it was just, when I really got down to it and asked people, I'm like, "Red," they're like, "You just feel like home. Like you're able to just like we don't worry. You just take care of us." And that could be part of being a mom too. Like that's the mama bear that comes out sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just this way of I figured out that I like to take care of people, and I like to see them walk away where they don't feel like it was I don't want them to feel like it was business. Like it was just
Mhm.
that they walked away, they got exactly what they were looking for, and they felt really good in the process. So, and that's just kind of
Just
what I
being your
figured out.
genuine self, right? Just being your genuine
Yeah.
self. Tell us a little bit about you have a huge, I guess it's an annual thing, this event that you do for your clients. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how you started that and where it's morphed into?
Yeah, it's actually the week of. So they call this Pie Week. So every year I have a client party, and we started this will be our 10th year doing it. So we started doing this 10 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I got it from Brian Buffini when I
Mm.
took a Brian Buffini class. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he talked about, I don't know if he talked about pies or just having a client party, but I remember I was talking to my mom actually at the time, and she's like, well, we can make pies. My mom's a big baker from Pennsylvania, like it's their jam. I think I've realized food is a love language for us. So she's like, we can make pies. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, okay. So our first one, we made, I think it was about 12 pies, 12 or 13 pies. I can't remember that first year. And we made a bunch of food, and my clients got to pick what kind of pie they wanted. They came, they ate, they took their pie home. I got to connect with them, and we go from there. Right. So now It's so fun. It's like my most favorite thing. Now, like this year, we're making 101 pies. We're making,
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So
And
I've done the pie thing at Thanksgiving as well. I always just bought them from Village Inn because I wasn't going to bake all the pies. And mine, yeah, it is a great experience. If none of you have done that, it is a really cool way to connect with your folks. And here's a pie, and you get a picture, and then you can make reels, especially with all the apps now. You can make a really cool reel video stuff. You can do little. I would do this when they come pick out your pies. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I did this one year. And when they came and got the pie, they stood in front of me. I had this giant real estate guy banner, like a window cling, because my office was a glass wall. And they had to say something nice about me with the pie. And then I used that, I don't know for how long, but just in my stories and reels, random drops for the rest of the year. It was fun. It was kind of a
yeah,
cool
that's
way to,
great.
like, hey, and it was could be simple as, hey, thanks for the pie, Chris, I'm the real estate guy, and then go on. But that's another great way to get in front of your folks if you're looking for something um, that kind of helps you stand out, especially in our world, right?
Eh, And Jen, correct me if I'm wrong. It's not about the pie, right? It's about the connection.
Not, it's about the connection. It's about, you know, people want to, it's character and competency, I feel like all in one, right? Like they get to see how many people you've helped, which just solidifies that you know what you're doing. And then this is really cool. My whole family's involved. My boys are involved. My oldest, he makes sure the food stays, packed. My parents are in the background, literally helping with the food part too, because we go through a lot of food, you guys. My husband's out there schmoozing when I can't schmooze. So it's a definite like family affair. And I mean, it's really cool when you think about it in that, like, I will have clients literally text, and they're like, it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, right? And I'm like, yeah, they're like, okay, because we're gonna move our one thing to this day so we can be there. Like,
Wow.
it's just become a thing, and we connect. And this year, I brought in a photographer who's gonna take family portraits for them while they're here.
Nice job.
So just trying to always build on it and create, like I said, create a really cool experience for them that then when I get referred, like literally people will be like, "You're the pie realtor." And I'm like,
That's awesome.
I love
Next year, have your husband dress up as Santa Claus, and you can do portraits with Santa.
"Ooh, that'd be a good one
Right?
too. I
I
like
did that.
that.
I did that one year. I actually have a full blown Santa suit, like mask and all that.
That's so
Yeah,
cool."
yeah. So
So on this pie event, we have a few questions here. Sherry's
Yeah.
asking. She has two questions. Do you think it makes a difference that you make the pies versus buying them? And also, do you think it's important that you're welcoming your clients into your home? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I do think that there is a difference in the story that we have created around the pie party, in that my mom makes the pies, and I use a lot of this on social media when I'm talking about it. I send an actual invitation out that says, Mama Mary's getting the pies ready. So I think there is something to that, Sherry. Do I think that that should hinder anybody from doing it? No. I do think having it at our home does make a difference also. I think it creates a very warm environment, and it creates an environment where they can kind of like relax, and it brings them into my world a little bit too, right? So we keep talking about, AI is going to take over all this stuff. Well, the connection part and allowing them to see my life as well, and see my boys grow up and see all these things. I do think that that does add an element that really makes it special and makes them come back, because I typically send out, so this year I sent out, yeah, it was 105 invites, and I only have like 7 people that aren't coming. So like they look forward to it. So
nice.
I do think that's part of it.
And even
That's a
just
really that's
right.
yeah, that's a unique thing too. Because I was thinking as you said that, not to interrupt you, Marco, but I was thinking as you're saying that, we see all our clients' houses. We're in their houses all the time before they close.
Yeah.
And then when we go back for their pop buys and closing gifts and things like that, we're always on their turf. So that's a really brilliant, unique way to kind of shift that and bring them into our world. I like that. I wish I would have known that 20 years ago, Jen.
Let me ask you this. Let's say that, an agent wants to do something like what you're doing, because I think it's fabulous. I think you're connecting, you're showing them that you're a real person, you're inviting them to your home. But what if that agent doesn't have a big enough home for, to cook all those pies, or maybe they're living in a townhouse or condo? What advice would you give, as far as adjusting to how they do this event like this?
For sure. So, just to be super transparent, it was actually at my parents' house up until about 2 years ago because I also did not have a house large enough to host people. But I think you can invite them to the office, show them while it's not your house, this is still your world. If you have, a favorite local place, like obviously, especially if you're downtown, there's a lot of local favorites that people have and know to partner with somebody and have it at a place there, have it at the park. I mean, I think it's just get creative to where they can still see you outside of just being a real estate agent.
Yeah, mine were always at the office, and the last one I did, I had a coffee truck, not a food truck, but a coffee truck. So they come get
Mhm.
their pies and get some coffee, and it was just in the parking lot. It was an all day thing. I told them, hey, I'll be here between 10 and 4. This is when you come get your pie.
Jen, do you mind if we kind of shift gears a little bit to something that I know you're very
Mm.
excited about, and I want to make sure that we make time for this. You have just come out with a book. Could you tell us a little bit about that, and who's it's for, what's the message, all those things?
Yeah. So I always say let's loosely call it a book. Maybe it's like a workbook, guidebook, because it's definitely like a, paper size, if that makes sense. And if it's okay, I kind of have to go personal, I think, to make you understand maybe why I wrote
Yeah,
it. Well, one, two, I'm like, how much can I help as many people as possible without having to like become a coach or something like that? Because that's not my jam either. So that's where this kind of got born from. But I take it back even further to my husband and I, to be honest. So at our 15th anniversary, when we sat down for a dinner, he said to me, he's like, do you remember what I asked you on our wedding day? And I was like, I totally remember what you asked me on our wedding day. And he says, when we think back to that question, I said it was such a loaded question. So going backwards, on our wedding day, literally, he that morning called me and he was like, I just got to ask you this. And I'm like, what? And he goes, are you sure? And I'm like,
mm,
am I sure? I got fake lashes on and a wedding dress. Yeah, I'm sure. What am I sure? And I look back now and we were young, we were young. I was naive. We didn't talk about life, what life was going to look like for us as a married couple. So, are you sure it was very loaded in that? Like, are you sure this is what you want to get into for the rest of your life? It's going to be hard, really, is what it came down to. It's going to be hard.
yeah.
He was 100% right. We since obviously had those conversations, right, about just in general what it does look like for us and the responsibility that I had to take on, even for our kids, and what he had to take on. And after I left that dinner, like a couple of weeks later, I was like, gosh, that is like so much about real estate. Like if somebody probably would have went back and asked me, are you sure, before I like stepped into real estate, be interesting if I'd actually had a real conversation with somebody about what real estate was going to look like, right? Because you hear the thing where they say like 94% of new agents don't renew. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why does nobody else have a problem with this? Like, I actually have a problem with that. Like, that's an issue for our industry. And if we really kind of go back and think about like, why do we have such a problem with the retention rate in real estate? It makes me think that we're just not preparing people enough for what this business looks like, or they're not building it from a place where, their head, the heart, everything's aligned in their business. And they might
And
not
see,
even
I
know how to do that.
yeah, see, I look at that differently. I look at that good because they're competition. Like, go away. Because legit, when I started, it was the same thing. It's like you take 100 realtors January 1st, by December 31st, there's 10 left. Then those next 10 go into year two, and of those 10 of the next year two, you have three left. And I remember agents that I started with at Century 21, and then I followed them, and vice versa. And within 2, 3 years, they all faded away, went off and other things. Real estate's not for everybody. This is not an easy get. Right. And I think if I would have known how hard it was, I wouldn't have got into it. So I kind of like the fact that I went into it blindly thinking, oh, this is going to be super fun and easy because you get 6% every time you sell a house. Because I was naive thinking you had to split that. So I remember sitting in real estate school, oh, if I sell a $100,000 house, I get 6%, blah, 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 blah. And but the naiveness, what did you say? But being naive about it, I think helped someone like me because then it's like, holy shit, you actually got to work. You actually got to figure out systems and places and things like that. And before I forget, Megan and Mark asked a question about your pies, and I've done this, so I chime back in. But I want you to chime in. Do you think it would work to deliver the pies to the client instead of hosting an event?
Because again, it really isn't about the pie. It's about connecting with your client.
Right.
I mean, really, it just comes back to that simple fact. It is about connecting with your client. However, you need to do that, do that.
Yeah. See, and my answer was the opposite because if you looked at my Zillow map, I'm all the way from Whitman to Coolidge and from like Anthem to Florence. And I was like, I did it 1 year. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this again. It took me like a week literally, and I had the map put out and I did nothing but drive it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't the best use of time per se because I had to do it when they were home. So it sucked. I like come to the place and get the pie, damn it.
Right.
So Jen, are you insinuating that the book is just for new agents, or is it for anybody?
I say it's for new agents and anybody who's stuck.
Hmm.
So, I feel like if you know your business and you're pretty solid in what you have, I don't know that you're going to get a lot from it. You might, I could be way wrong in this. It's just my thought process was like, how can we really help people figure out, like, one, is this the place for them? I mean, I had a team member, and by the time he was done with me for a year, he realized real estate was not his jam, and he has since moved to Wichita. So I scared him off, but he knows his passion and his purpose now in life. So I feel good about that. But I think it's just like, helping people dig a little bit deeper and really creating that this isn't a surface level business. I guess it can be for some, and it's not going to be a workbook for everybody. To be honest, it really was born out of there's a lot of people I think like me who probably wear their heart on their sleeve and they don't know how real estate would fit into that. I feel like I can try to help them maybe figure that out. Um, learn some boundaries. It took me a long time. It took having a broker who watched me give away my commission a lot of the time. And he was like, stop it. Stop doing that. They're still going to love you if you don't do it. And he was right. So it's just giving like what tidbits, how can I help them either create an amazing business or maybe find the right path for them, really is what it was about.
Nice. And just yeah, I mean, I think every one of us, right, that has been in real estate has had our ups and downs, right? And I think sometimes when we get in those downs, we don't get it, right? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do, right? And so something like this can kind of maybe trigger something or get you motivated and get things going again, right? At least feel good about being in real estate. One thing that you wrote, which I think I would love for you to talk about, was you say, for me, this always comes down to working from a place where you have to have your clients align with your values. But can
Mm.
you talk a little bit about that? Because I think some of us, when we're down in the dumps, we're like, we'll take whatever. I'll take this. Yeah. I don't care.
We go further. Before we go further, what's the name of the book and where do we find it? Because this is intriguing me. Because your little nuggets that Mark was dropping here, like we haven't dropped the name and where you find it.
Okay, so it's called The Flourishing Agent. And the reason why I picked Flourish to kind of be the platform for me, just to give you a little background, is because when you actually look up the definition flourish, it's your ability to thrive and survive in your environment. And I'm just like, yeah, like when you really look up what the definition is, and I was like, that's so what I want people, whatever that environment is, how are you going to
Right.
survive and thrive in it, right?
Yeah.
So it's called The Flourishing Agent, and it's on my website under there's a for agents section. I'm still working through creating a whole different, platform for it, but baby steps, baby steps. So, but yeah, I mean, when I think about, I think it goes back to again, when you realize the type of agent you are, like, look, investors for me, they're not my people so much. I am not a person who can sit down and I can do a spreadsheet. I have great spreadsheets, but like their mentality, there's no emotion, right? But there's no emotion, there's no attachment to what home means. I'm very big on what home means for people. It's a financial vehicle for them, and I think it's great. I just know that I'm not going to be their agent. So if you can really like figure out how to align, there it is.
See what I'm learning by holding podcasts? I learn all little things. So there's your book.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, and that's totally true. So yeah, it's I think if you learn what you value, your message then is really easy to get out there because once you know what you're looking for, what matters to you, your ability to market to people, I think becomes pretty simple. It brings it down to the lowest denominator of,
Do a mid class. It's brilliant, Jen. That's just like, see, this is why we have you guys come on the show, Hand in Hand Destiny next week, because you have so much wealth to share with others. Most don't realize. Like, I never would have learned this about you. We're only 27 minutes into this thing, and this is brilliant, Jen. Kudos to you, man. I
oh,
love it.
you're so
I love
sweet.
it.
Well, you can hit learn more. It'll tell you more about it, but just so you know.
I know, but I didn't want to distract people from
Not
what you're
gonna you
saying.
buy it, I promise. It's just
No,
gonna
I'm gonna buy
get
it
it.
because no, I want to buy it. That's the beautiful thing about Broker Sub Realty. We share with each other. We know we're competition, but at the end of the day, we all do this because we're insane. And the more help we can get from each other, the better we can be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's, like I said, your client. Well, and I think there's another piece to this too. And you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just remember even getting into it thinking like there's not enough people or houses to warrant having 88,000 real estate agents, right? Like those thoughts went through my head. And then you soon realize, like, no, there is because everybody is different. My client is not going to probably seek out Chris, might not seek out Nick, right? Like it's all our clients come to us for a reason, and it typically is because something aligns in the message that we're giving them. And it's typically like, what do you value? I value creativity. I value family, which is why I have such a passion for the house. Because I say, if you really sit back and think about what happens inside your house, like just imagine what those walls have heard over the time that you've
Mhm.
been in your house, right?
Right.
The prayers, your kids' laughter, kids crying. I mean, it could be loss, it could be joy, it could be, there's just so much that happens inside of there. And it's such a beautiful thing. And how amazing is it that we are the vehicle to help somebody else be able to experience that? I just think it's a beautiful thing. But some investor is not going to want to hear that from me when he's worried about what's my return, what's the market doing? Like it's just different. And it's okay that they're not my people, but I got a great
Yeah.
person I can refer you to. Yeah.
And I think you're talking from a perspective of, I'm just making this up, but like real estate maturity, right? Where you know you've you've been in the business long enough to know, hey, look, this is not my jam, and it's okay to walk away from it, right? And I think it takes a certain confidence to do that, and a certain security in your abilities to do that as well. I think it does come from experience, but I think it also comes from just knowing who you are, right? What you've talked about over and over, right? Why am I in this, right? So what do I want to get out of this? Because it's not, we always think about the client, right? What can I do for the client? But it's also, this is your life, right? And you want to have a fun career, something that you enjoy, right? So yeah, I think this is amazing. Amazing.
You're so
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah. I always say if we're gonna put the hours that we put in, because we put a lot of hours in, if I'm gonna miss something possibly with my kids, I really need to make sure that it's aligned for what I'm putting that,
Mm.
what I'm giving towards that. There's gotta be something there. Not that I want to miss my kids' stuff, but you know, they understand what I do. They understand the benefit of it, and they can see how it's pretty cool when you ask my kids, like, what is it that your mom does? I asked Hendrix once, and he's like, she sells dreams. And I'm like,
Oh,
yes, Hendrix.
that's
I love
awesome.
that. Jen, can you talk a little bit about, we've talked a little bit about, just what you do individually for your clients, but you mentioned collaboration is one of the big pieces of your business. Can you talk a little bit about how you use collaboration and what that looks like for you in your business?
Yeah, so I am definitely of the mindset that I do not know everything and I want to learn something every day. So I think that's part of what is really beautiful about our brokerage as well is that uh, we can sit there, 30 agents, and have a conversation, and nobody is worried that the person across from them is going to go steal their client. That's a really difficult environment to create, I actually think. So kudos to Nick for being able to do that. But also kudos for the agents that are at our brokerage that we can see that too. That probably goes with our whole hashtag real estate maturity is that, I can sit there and be like, what am I not seeing, you guys? Because, we all have those transactions. I have a listing right now. I sent it to a fellow agent and I'm like, what am I missing? Like I'm missing something. Like what is not coming through in this listing that that is helping me get this sold? And it's beautiful that you can have somebody on the other end who's like, girl, you have way too many photos, take that out, or you need to get that staged, or whatever. There's something magical in that collaboration. And I think as long as you can walk into it without the fear of that you're giving a secret away, because again, let's be real, we just talked about a pie party, but every single person in here is not going to do it the same. So, and that's the beauty of collaboration is here's this grand concept, go do you, boo. Like, yeah, what works for you.
Yeah, because everybody runs their business differently. Everybody's gonna make different connections, right? Everybody has a different vibe. And when I first got into real estate, I felt like, oh my gosh, like every agent is my competition. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like reality is there's enough real estate for everyone, right?
Right.
And to your point, you can learn a lot from not only seasoned agents, but I've learned a lot about from like newer agents too, like their drive, what are they doing? Because like
Mhm.
like Chris said, when you go into something blind, you almost have to, create that business. And so I feel like a lot of agents really think outside the box. You know, us seasoned agents, we get stuck in our ways. And this has worked for me for years. But the reality is 10 years ago, real estate was very different, right? And it's gonna keep on evolving.
And the benefit of what you did, Jen, with your book is, I mean, I don't own it yet, but I'm assuming I learned everything I've done from day one by failing, right? Everything I've done, the shiny new penny, right? Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a billboard. I'm going to do commercials on TV, radio, blah, blah, blah. And what you don't realize when you do those things is the impact it's going to have on when you can handle that workload or no workload because some of it fails, right? So I think that's a brilliant thing. Because I looked at the other thing you have there is the 12 months. We talked a little bit about that, the 12-month thing from it's a marketing standpoint or something. Go over that.
Yeah. So backtrack when I talk about like, I think your clients really watch how you show up. So what I, to me, when you are consistent with how you show up, again, that shows them how you are going to operate when you are in front of them trying to get them a house. If you're consistently showing up every month, every quarter, you stick to that plan, there is magic behind that because they are saying, okay, I see her. She's every month I'm getting something from her and she said she would do that. Okay, every quarter I can expect to get a little something in the mail. I see that she's organized. I see that she, has strategy. I see her how she presents herself. I actually think that's a very big part of this business. If you're consistently changing what you do, it could look a little chaotic to somebody on the outside, right?
Yeah.
So I
And that's
think
the big
that,
struggle. And that's a big struggle right now with everything is kind of going socially, right?
of
Like
course,
like TikTok to me is just it's overwhelming. Like just stop. It's so loud and noisy. But people are generating business off TikTok, right?
for sure.
Yes. It's I'm cool with the Facebook stuff and cool with the Instagram stuff because that can kind of be toned, at certain level. But yeah, so I agree with that. There's what you put out there in the world definitely defines who you are as a human, whether you want it to be accurate or not. It truly is because the more you do, the more they see. And people watch you without realizing you're being watched. I've had people for years. I ran into somebody at one of Jason Haney's events, and I've watched you for years. And I was like, well, that's a little creepy. But they do. They just watch you. People will just watch what we do, especially, we're all at a level of success, regardless if it's all the way up here. But all of us, because we've done it for so long, we have some level of success, and people watch it, and they silently watch us, and they silently, kind of start chipping away at what we do. Oh, I can do that. I can do that. I saw somebody come across Facebook yesterday that I knew at Solutions Real Estate that was a newbie, and I was kind of giving him stuff to do. And he popped up on Facebook doing a home buying process webinar. I was like, interesting. You know what I mean? But so
Yeah.
true. I like what you're doing with the book, and I think it's a good thing and it's a good tool. Like, regardless if you're brand new or somebody like me.
I mean, there's questions and I'm a writer. I like to
Yeah.
write things, not so much type things out, but there are
Sure.
questions in there. And then, my next process was like, okay, so like I give them these ideas. I love to be creative. That is something that brings me joy, is the creative aspect of things.
Agreed.
So I was like, okay, how do I take what I do and now put it into a package if they get to that point where they're like, I don't want to have to write my newsletter. I don't want to have to create a postcard. Like, I don't want to have to do that. But if somebody literally gave me all those tools and all I have to do is put my logo in, yeah, I'm down for that. So that's
Yeah.
what the 12-month part is. It's literally everything. It's their Popeye tags, it's sphere postcards, it's newsletters, it's how to run an event, it's a pie party course, it's everything literally done for them in that package. Yeah. And it's done to a way, again, that aligns with people who are coming from a heart-centered business more so than, just like one and done. That they're not gonna find benefit in that.
You know what I love about your business model, Jen, is that you're you're becoming almost like the anomaly, right? Where we have gone towards everything social, everything just computerized, where you're actually mailing something, you're stopping by their house, right? You're not steering away from that human connection, right?
Mm-mm.
And I think that's some of us, oh, it's easy to post, right? Boom, hit something, write something nice, but it takes effort, right, to get that human connection. And to your point, I think clients appreciate that, even though they might not say it, but subconsciously they get it, right? She's making an effort. She's trying to connect with me. And even if, just even the invitation, right? It's kind of like, I think about like, during when you send out invitations to weddings, I sent, for our wedding, I sent, invitations to Nicaragua, knowing that they're not coming to my wedding, but it's kind of that gesture, right? That
Absolutely.
they know that I'm thinking about them on this special day. So yeah, kudos to you for being the anomaly and going out there and making those human connections.
You're so
And
sweet.
circling back with the pie thing, because this just struck me too. And Nick is fantastic at client retention. I mean, if there's anybody that any of you are wondering how to maintain past clients and kick it up a notch, Nick. But what struck me, Jen, you had 100. I think you said 107 pie invites this year, and only 7 can't come.
Wow.
That to me is fantastic, because when I do birthday cards and stuff and house anniversary, I call it, and anniversaries, and it chips away at my soul when people don't, hey, thank you for the birthday card. It's like, come on, I take the effort to do this, and then I'll go, I'll like, there's 30 birthdays this month. Only one person said, hey, thank you. To me, that's fucked up, but that's just part of my ego, right? Because we all have to have one. And to me, when I get a birthday card, I thank people. Like, I'm that guy on Facebook that when you wish you a happy birthday, I go through and thank you to every single one individually, because I think it's a respectful thing that, hey, I went and did this. So
They took
so
time. Like,
right,
they thought
exactly.
about you in that moment.
Mhm.
Totally feel
Right.
that.
So, I mean, I still do the cards and the anniversary cards and things like that, but it always kind of kicks my crawl. Like, sent out 30 of these this month or whatever it is. And I got, a 0.002 response. Like, who doesn't want a birthday card in the mail, man? And they're personalized. The envelope says, happy birthday, Nick. Then you open it up and it's, Camille has a question or a comment or something. So unmute yourself, Camille, and go right ahead.
Okay. Hi. Thanks, Jen. This is a really interesting conversation. I have a question about genuineness in sales. How do you, it's a two-part question. do you believe that being genuine, like if somebody was doing exactly what you did, it looked exactly the same in real life, but their inner world was about making a sale versus what yours is, which is like an altruistic desire to connect as well as making a sale. So that's the first part of the question. Like, do you think those two things are equal, or do you think like there's a resonance or power or some kind of grace? And this is woo woo, but it's real. Like I'm really asking if this works for you.
I totally feel what you're asking. Yeah, like if I think that if somebody is literally coming from a place of I'm just here to make a sale and this is how I can get in front of you, that will 100% be felt. Because ultimately, there's no guarantee on a sale with anything you do, right? But I think it also goes back to if you are showing up, like it doesn't matter where you are and how you're showing up. If you are being true and genuine to this person right here, they will just naturally start either asking you about business or what it is, right? Like those things naturally happen. So I do think that if you did everything I told you to do, but your sole goal behind it was only to make a sale, that absolutely is going to come out in how you connect with people and you could turn people off. Absolutely. It is a struggle because for so long I was like, I don't even want to tell them at the end of my newsletter, the Brian Buffini tagline of, like I'm never too busy for your referral. I hate to say it. I actually hate that. They know what I do. They know what I do.
Yeah.
And if they're coming to me, guess what? They're coming to me because they want to buy or sell a house.
Right.
I'm not going after them. I think also part of the marketing part of things is the information that I provide. While it is about real estate, there's always a story. There's always something behind it that circles back to real estate, right? Like, again, I'm drawing them into here's what happened in my life recently. Here's a crazy story about a trick or treater that came to my front door. And she was the most adorable dinosaur that roared when I opened the door. And I was like, well, aren't you just the cutest thing? Right. And in that moment, I'm realizing like we just got to be ourselves. And that literally was what my newsletter was about that month. And then of course it circled back into real estate. Like this is why having a realtor who can think outside the box, get creative is actually really important in your journey. So I think if you are always coming from I'm here to guide, I'm here to give, I'm here to be who I am, the sales part will naturally happen. But if you don't come from that place, I don't know that it would work, Camille.
See, and I've always believed connections before commissions,
Absolutely.
because the more you connect with somebody, then the commissions are going to follow.
So that begs the second part of my question. Sorry, Chris.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is, okay, if you had somebody like Chris, let's say Chris was newer and he was saying that, what he was saying before about like, I only get one person who responds to what would you advise him? Because like, obviously if there is an expectation, because we've all done this, right? We've done something extraordinary and gone out of our way for clients and spent a lot of money on marketing and then nothing happens. Would you, like, this is getting real woo woo, but like, would you literally ask him, would you guide him to like check his intentions with each card that he writes and really think about the human on the other side of it? Like, what would you advise somebody if he was newer and he was getting nothing from this?
I would actually probably advise them to really dig down into, are you working your sphere or are you working your database? Because they're two very different things. And I think that often gets mixed in that, like if, and I'll be 100% transparent with you guys, I actually have a very small sphere. If you look at my email list, I have 255 names on it. That is what's on my email list. I do not have 2,000. I do not have 5,000, but I'm super intentional with those people. So I would almost tell that person, and that's actually in the book too, how do you really create your sphere versus a database? Because in my opinion, they're two different things. I'm not going to mail out a birthday card to my whole database, but I'm going to get real clear on who knows me, who is not going to second guess how I'm showing up here. And that is my sphere. So I think to me, that would be what I would do.
Yeah. And the champion that I only do my sphere too. I don't do the whole
Yeah.
private. It's only the ones that I have connected with on a level where there's been referrals back and forth, or there's been constant communication from the closing, because database is huge, right? I think there's
Yeah.
4,000 people by database, but the sphere of the ones that you go through and ABC and like, okay, the level of the connection, things like that. Yeah, so I get that. And my cards are very, it's really, there's nothing to them other than it's happy birthday. I don't ask for referrals. I don't ask for anything from them. It's just a say, hey, it's a happy birthday. Hope you have a great day.
Mhm.
Whatever. I have little
And
funny
it's
things.
again, it's the intention, right? So
Right.
the
Oh
next
yeah.
year, if they don't get one, I bet you'll hear from them.
Right. And that's, yeah. And I'm famous with my online presence for my birthday posts. Like,
Mhm.
because people will send me a message 10 o'clock at night. Hey, I haven't got my birthday on Facebook yet. I'm like, oh shit, I've had a busy day. Hold on. So so it's the same concept. Yes, Nicholas, yo.
So I was just gonna say, years ago, I would always send out the birthday cards, and I would always add a little packet of Kool-Aid in it,
Mm.
and be like, "Hey, you're the coolest kid in town." And to your point, like, I would send out 30 or 40 a month, and I'd get maybe one or two people that were like, "Hey, I got my Kool-Aid, thanks." And I'm like, it's not clown blow. Don't snort it," which they would always laugh at. But about a couple of years ago, when we started Brivity, I stopped sending out the Kool-Aid and just sent them a postcard. Do you know how many people are like, "Dude, what happened? I didn't get my Kool-Aid." And these are people that I'd been sending it to for years. So just because they don't say, "Hey, Chris, I didn't get it," or, or, "Hey, thanks for the card," they still recognize it. And I think it goes back to Jen was saying about the consistency in your business, that if they see it every year, I get a card from Chris, that sets that consistency level of what type of agent you are. So
Sure. Yeah. And I get that. It's more of an ego thing to me,
Oh,
because
for sure. I feel
anytime
that.
I get it, yeah, because if I
try
get a
sending
card
out
from someone,
1,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies at 10 the box and have 20 people say thank you.
yeah, no, I know, I get it. And then I think that's all with all of us though, because we have to have an ego at some level to do what we do. We have to be narcissistic at some level to do what we do, because this is a brutal business. We get beat down, we get hung up on, we get yelled at, we get cussed out, we get fired. I kid you not, I had a hostage negotiator from Maricopa County. I sold him his house, and he was having me work with his father-in-law at the same time, doing two deals for the family. When we closed both those houses, he pulled me aside after the signing and said, "I don't know how you do what you do. Your job is so much more stressful than mine." He's a hostage negotiator. He talks people off ledges and out of suicide situations. And he's pulling me aside and telling me that. So that's one of those things I don't think the general public realizes what we do and how stressful it is, how many hats we got to wear, and the constant stress day in, day out, waking up
Absolutely.
unemployed. We have to chase our life. We have to chase our income. So your book you wrote, I think, is a fantastic roadmap to share with the world, and get people to kind of dive deep into the Jenn Jenkins way of life.
Well, and I
Jen,
do talk too, and just to Camille's point to
Mhm.
and to anybody that's doing real estate, I do it too. It's, all of these actions that we do, the money might not show up for a while. And I
Mhm.
think you have to be like super transparent in that part of it too.
Yep.
That, or you can have a month, and I actually wrote the story in there where literally I had like finally just got my footing in real estate. And I was supposed to have 3 deals close in 1 month, which was amazing. I was like, I am a baller now. Literally all 3 died within 2 weeks of closing. Anything outside of my control. I had nothing to do with, like, it was just crazy life happenings. And it's like, that's a very real moment that people don't quite understand. And if they could understand the amount of emotion that goes into that moment, when, all of this work that you do and there's not a paycheck at the end of it, that can be really hard. And I think that also should be talked about, because we do have to, in my opinion, you've got to have some tools in your toolbox to
Yeah.
through that, because that can get a little messy.
Right.
Jen, as we wrap it up here,
Yes.
it's holiday season, right? This is probably a great time to reconnect with your sphere, right?
Absolutely.
Can you maybe, give us maybe a few things that we could do, just a few ideas. I know some of us have some things that we're thinking about, but what's something that you've done around the holiday season that's really simple and that we can do today?
Yeah. So for me, I think it's as simple as literally you can send a text. And I do this with clients either when they come to the party or not, but I'm like, here's what I'm grateful for this year. And then I ask them, what's one thing you're grateful for right now? Because, let's be real, it's chaotic. The world's in chaos right now. There's a lot going on. Everything's moving fast. There's just so much, but like to literally pull somebody back and just be as simple as, like, what are you grateful for right now? Like, and make it genuine, not, I don't want to sound silly and like be like, I'm grateful for my family, because of course I'm grateful for my family. But like I'm super grateful that I can have a conversation with my 16-year-old right now, because I know a lot of parents can't. Like, I'm super grateful for that. So like if you can get really real and raw with your people in something as simple as I can have a conversation with my 16-year-old, I'm really grateful for that today. It might be pretty cool the response you might get from somebody else who has to dig a little bit deeper and see what they're grateful. That's one thing you could do. You can, like I said, text seems to go pretty well for people. Call a client and say, hey, you want to meet up for coffee quick? I mean, just it's nothing about here's what's going on in the market. Here's what it's just like, how are you? What's going on in your life? I saw you got a promotion. What, just get real. We have the tools. We've got social media. We know what's happening. Dig that way with them to get a little more.
That's a great little insight. The more, and I've learned this from the struggles we had with Skylar with the meth and heroin. The more transparent I was about that, the more it humanized me. It made more people realize, okay, I'm not just a realtor, right? I have this whole other side of life. Like there's actually people, right? And I think I don't think people kind of, I don't know, put those two together sometimes, because obviously everybody thinks realtors make so much money. I use Nick's friend, one of Nick's sayings now when I go list a property and you're going to give me 3%. And they kind of backfire. I'm like, look, I'm not making $1 million off the sale of your home. Okay. It's just not going to happen. I'm selling one home. So that in itself, I think is a very good thing for us all to do. If you're not doing it, watch your clients on social media. And when you see them do something, when you see their kid hit a home run, or you see, something that is they're celebrating, comment on that on their feed, or comment on it, send them a message on Facebook, or send a message on like you said, a text message. You'll be surprised how far that goes with them, because they know then that you're looking at their lives, and then in return, they're going to start looking back at you, and then you're going to create that community that Camille mentioned in the chat, without really having to put forth a ton of effort, right? It's a simple thing to do every day. Get up for 20 minutes, just go through your Facebook feed and the stories and stuff, like, comment, and you'll be surprised the feedback you get. I've done it to where I'll have conversations all day long, because I'll go down 20 different stories on Facebook, and then it's just throughout the day, they just keep chiming back and forth. So it really is a simple way to connect with people in a digital age that most people, I don't think, realize you can do that. So that's a great idea. Great. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, not.
Well, thanks, Jen, for having, part of, Elevate Your Voice. And we'll make sure that we send out an email with the link to the book. I'm excited to dig into it. And
Thank you.
what better time, right, to get into something right now when 2026 is just around the corner and all of us are looking to have the best years of business. So thank you so much for joining us.
This is really cool that you guys are doing this. I just think this is a fabulous idea.
Good.
And next week we're going to have Destiny, even though she keeps saying no. We're going to have Destiny on, because
Get her on.
Destiny doesn't realize how much of an amazing human she is. So we're just going to force feed it down her throat. And a shout out to Marco, because before we started the show, I basically told Marco I was going to kind of sit back and let him run with it. So I think Marco did a great job.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a good.
Absolutely. Thank you for stopping by. Love you all. Be safe.
Hug somebody.
Hug somebody. But make sure you know them first.
Bye.